Perfect.
What's going on, boys? Norm here. We are in the flavor lab, and what we're doing today, pulled pork poutine. All right, now, boys, before we get after it, what we're going to do is we're going to give a shout out to my boy Glenn Pie, who hooked me up with this sick Evolution of Hockey t-shirt. Love it, fits great, real nice. What I want to do is let you guys know where you can get this or a bunch of his other hockey t-shirts. He has a bunch of Newfoundland apparel, stuff like that, stuff like for camping and everything. But it's awesome. I love it. I have a few of these shirts. So I want you to go to Pie's Place, P-Y-E-S-P-L-A-C-E, piesplace.com. Guys, get one of these. This is sick. Has the hoodies and stuff like that. Awesome. Get after it. All right. So now we're going to get into this recipe. So this is going to be a slow cooker recipe. If you want to do your pulled pork on the smoker, that's all good. I like to do it in the slow cooker. So I find the slow cooker is real easy. It's raining out today. I don't want nothing to do with that. So what we're going to need is we're going to need a pork loin. Now, the reason I do pork loin is because in the slow cooker, it doesn't need the fat to actually break down. You can use a leaner piece of meat. It's going to be a little bit healthier for us. If you're doing it on the smoker, you're probably going to want to go with a shoulder because it's actually the fats that break down that make the actual pork like fall apart tender. In this, we're going to use some liquid to make it happen. All good. Next, what we're going to need is we're going to need a couple seasonings. You don't have to absolutely have these, but I mean, you should by now. So what I'm going to use for the pork is this Maritime Madness Mighty Mesquite seasoning. I'm going to add this to the cook for the pork. And then I'm going to also use this Maritime Madness garden herb rub. What I'm going to do is for our home fries, I'm going to toss a little bit of that on the fries. But don't worry if you don't have those. You can use other stuff. You can get whatever barbecue seasoning you like. For the garden herb, not necessary. You just toss a little salt on your fries if you want. This is not going to be 100% necessary. Don't worry about it if you don't got it. Next, what we're going to need, well, for French fries, we're going to need potatoes. I went with the red. I like the red potatoes. I find they have a nice taste to them. Plus, if you leave a little bit of that peel on, it gives like a nice little color to it. So I like that when it crisps up. I like the red potato and that peel on it. We want to go with a store-bought powdered gravy. Now, I know what you're thinking. Usually you want to make your own gravy, but we're not going to do this time because what we're going to do is we're going to use a little bit of the liquid from the pork to add to this and make it just really easy. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel here. We just want something nice and simple and not too complicated so that it's just going to be awesome flavor. Everything's going to come together perfect. We don't want to complicate things. We want easy peasy lemon squeezy. You're going to need a package of stovetop cornbread because barbecue pork and cornbread go amazing together. So if you're like me from Newfoundland, you grew up on stuffed poutine or fries gravy stuffing. So basically French fries gravy stuffing on it. So we're kind of doing an interpretation of that with the stovetop cornbread. You can make your own cornbread if you want, but I got no time for it. Not happening. So I'm just going to use the pre-done stuff. And then lastly, we're going to need one, but really two, Big Spruce Tim's IPA. Now, what I'm going to do is, like I said, this is going in the slow cooker. We're going to put the beer into the slow cooker with some of that seasoning. And then the second one is, well, if you know, you know. But that's going to be to wash all this down with because we loves it. All right, guys, let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do, we need to get our pork into the slow cooker. All right, I had to go wash my hands after touching that pork because I don't want to get it all over my other stuff. So after we get that pork in, what we're going to do is we are going to put the seasoning on now. So nice and liberal. If you're a measurement person, I am definitely not. You probably want about a tablespoon or so just to give it that nice barbecue flavor, like almost like you would just like rub it. Like I got no interest in rubbing this down because it's all going to come off in the beer. But about a tablespoon, what it would roughly take to cover the entire thing. All right, so now that we got our seasoning in, Tim's, It pains me not to drink this. Like, it's delicious, but it's also like 10 a.m., so we're gonna not get after it just yet. So just add pretty much that whole can. You want it to be about 50% submerged. You don't want it completely submerged in the liquid. You want it about 50%. So add pretty much that entire can. If you have a slow cooker, that's about, I don't know, it's about a foot wide. So add that whole can. You're gonna get it probably 50-60% submerged, and then that's it. You can probably toss a little onion and garlic in this if you want to, but I'm not gonna do that. We're just going with the Maritime Madness seasoning for this one. So get the cover on that. I'm gonna go get that plugged in and then put it on for high for about 5 hours or so. And then that's gonna be fall apart tender. So we're gonna be back in a little bit. Again, this is gonna be for dinner. We're starting this in the morning. We'll be back shortly. All right, guys, now you know that wouldn't be me unless I forgot to tell you something. So the other thing that we're gonna need, cheese. Obviously it's poutine, so I mean, I don't know why I didn't think of that at the beginning, because I'm not firing on all cylinders apparently. Maybe it's a little too early, I haven't had my workout in, haven't had my coffee and stuff, but we're gonna need some cheese. Now you can get the cheese curds, but mozzarella is very similar to cheese curds. It has an almost identical flavor, it's just a little tiny bit of a different texture. Now, we are on lockdown here in Nova Scotia, so don't worry if you can't get the curds, because I know they're not sold everywhere, but if you can just find a local shop that you trust going to during lockdown, get your mozzarella, get it delivered, whatever. So we're gonna need that. And again, if you don't want to make home fries, I did not mention this, but just buy frozen French fries. They work. Like, don't worry about it. If you don't want to do like all the hand cut fries and stuff like that, just buy a bag of your favorite frozen French fries, and we're laughing. All right, guys, welcome back. So what I'm doing now is I'm cutting our potatoes into discs about 1 centimeter or so. Once that's cut, then you just cut that again at about 1 centimeter, and we're getting our nice French fry shapes like that. I mean, really, I don't need to tell you how to make a French fry. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. But we're gonna cut those up, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna soak those in water. So once I have these all cut up, gonna soak them, and that's gonna draw out a lot of starch, and then we're gonna get a crispier French fry. So I'm gonna finish this up. I'm gonna get this pot of fries into the water, get that probably room temperature, get that soaking, let them sit for a little bit, then we're gonna move on. All right, guys, so we're coming down to crunch time now. So the fries have soaked. I had them strained off. After I strained them off, I let them sit in the basket probably for an hour or so. Just toss them every once in a while so that we get that moisture off of it. I don't think I need to teach you guys how to rinse and strain French fries, so let's not bother with that. So get them into a pot. There we go. Decent. Then what we're going to do is we're going to pour a couple of tablespoons of oil over them. And just give those guys a quick toss. So what we're going to do is we're going to put these in the air fryer or into the, if you got a convection oven, we're going to put them in the convection oven. I think I'm probably doing these in the convection oven this time because it is quite a bit. And I think I might have to do this in 2 batches in the air fryer, and the missus will like legit murder me. So get these coated with just a couple tablespoons of oil. I'm going to put those into the fryer or into the convection oven, depending on what you have. Then we're going to come back. Alright guys, so now that we got the fries in the oven, let's get to work on our gravy. So what I did is I poured out the water already, because you don't need to see me measure that out. And then, so this one is 1 cup instant gravy, 4 cups of water. So what I did is I put 3 cups of the water in, and then we're going to finish with 1 cup of the pork juice after. So we're just going to get our ingredients together. Now what I recommend is the packet of Costco stuff. So you need to whisk this up before you put it on the element. And then this will keep hot for a while. So what I recommend is the Costco stuff. But now if you can't go to Costco, if stuff's locked down where you are, whatever, it's you can get this. You can get poutine gravy. It's basically, it literally says poutine. I think like Clubhouse makes it. I think St. Hubert makes it. There's a few of those guys that actually make like the poutine gravy. So if you get that, do it. if you're going to follow this to the T, put 3/4 of whatever the liquid is in and reserve 1/4 of the juice that you have from the pork. So that's going to give us basically the gravy flavor that we want, plus an added little bit of the pork flavor that we want, and this is all going to be, this is going to be deadly. So just do that, and we'll get after it. So I'm going to put this on, then I'll be right back to the next step. All right, now boys, so the pork came out. I got it mostly shredded. Now I'm still working on that, but I think what we need to do is I grabbed a little, not quite a cup, about a half cup of some of that pork juice with the Tim's IPA in it. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna mix that in so that it's a little tiny bit moister and it gives us a little bit of that flavor that we started with. Now, if you want, now would be the ideal time to throw in a bit more of that Maritime Madness Mighty Mesquite seasoning, or whatever barbecue seasoning you had, but you don't want to overdo it. Just a little sprinkle will do okay, but really, really, really don't go too hard on this. So just a little tiny reminder of the spice that we had on it. That's it. So let that sink in. We don't want to get this too moist. Now usually if I did a pulled pork, I'd have like a barbecue sauce in it, but we're going to cover this in gravy. We just want pork with a little bit of seasoning in it, a little tiny bit of beer, just some flavor to get going. All right, so now that we got our pork done, let's go check on our other stuff. All right, guys, looks like everything is coming together. Fries are done. I took that stovetop cornbread stuffing, put that on to the regular, whatever the standard on the box is. I actually swapped out half of the water for a little bit of that pork juice to give us a little bit more flavor. Everything's going to come out now. I'll be back in 2 seconds and we'll see the rest of it. All right, guys, so everything seems to be done here, so let's put it together. The first thing that we're going to do, get this gravy finished. Sorry, I'm not going to put that on the pork there. So what I did is I took a cup of that pork liquid that we had earlier with the beer, whisk that in. There we go. Now we got the consistency that we're looking for. That's going to give us a nice flavor there. All right, so now we're going to take some of those French fries, put those on, make a nice little bed. Then what we give those is a shake of our garden herb. Just a little shake, we don't want to get too crazy. Let's get our mozzarella. Throw that down. Then what we're going to do is we're going to get a handful of our pork, put that over the top. Now that beautiful gravy that we did, you're probably going to need a couple ladles of that, boys. Get that coating the whole thing there, boys. Now, lastly, this is basically the clincher. We're putting a bit of that cornbread stuffing on the top of it. Now, boys, this is like a Newfie pulled pork poutine, just taken up to the next level. This is going to be legit, boys. Huh. Perfect. That's what we're looking at. Let's give it a try. Make sure you get a little bite of everything on there. A little bit of pork, a little bit of the French fried cheese, that stuffing. so good. That's so good. Remember, guys, don't be going home hungry. Get after this. Let me know what you think about this recipe, and we'll see you next time. Also, don't forget, piesplace.com. Get one of these sick t-shirts. Take a picture of it, tag me in it. Love to see it. See you next time.